Stop scrolling. ESPN may have just circled the window for Caitlin Clark's return, and Fever fans are torching Stephanie White after that one-point collapse to the Wings. If you care about Indy's season, this is the video you watch all the way through, because the timeline and the coaching firestorm are about to crash into each other. By the end, you'll know the 3 most likely return dates, why they make sense, and whether any of it matters if the same mistakes keep happening in crunch time. Here's what ESPN laid out on the broadcast. Indiana plays Washington on Friday, Connecticut on Sunday, then they get a full week off before 2 games against Minnesota and a home date with Seattle. That week off isn't just a breather, it's the ramp. Stephanie White has already said she's hoping Caitlin returns to practice in that window and needs multiple days before she plays. Put those pieces together and you land on 3 circled dates: August 20, August 24, or August 26. That is a clean, logical runway. Practice days stack, travels light, the opponents are scoutable, and if you want the optics and control of a homecoming, August 26 at home makes a ton of sense. Before we argue about which date, think about what this timing actually buys the Fever. This isn't a cameo. It's a chance to rewire how the offense starts possessions. With Clark on the floor, defenders pick her up high, which stretches the entire defense and turns first passes into punches, not bailouts. Kelsey Mitchell gets cleaner second side touches. Aliyah Boston's catches come without the automatic dig from the nail. Wings like Lexi Hull, Sophie Cunningham, and Chloe Bibby get rhythm threes instead of save us heaves with 7 on the clock. Even if Caitlin doesn't hit her first 3 shots, her gravity alone changes the geometry and lowers the panic dribble that's been feeding opponents runs. And let's talk turnovers, because that's where games have been flipping. Dead ball turnovers are annoying, live ball turnovers are backbreaking. They become layup lines. Clark's hit-ahead passing and early drag screens are pressure release valves. One clean advance pass can erase the entire advantage a press is trying to create. That's the hidden value, 2 possessions per quarter that stop becoming disasters. Flip 2 possessions per quarter and you don't lose a 1-point game. You win it by 2, 4, 6. Rotation clarity is the next domino. When your primary initiator returns, everyone else slides back into their lane. Mitchell becomes the secondary attacker who kills tilted defenses. The forwards aren't asked to create above their handle. Your best stuff, pin downs, flare screens, Spain actions, actually gets run when the speed of the game cranks up because you have a floor general calling people into their spots. The staff keeps saying they want off-ball movement. A real point guard makes it non-negotiable. Now let's be adults about this. A return is not a magic wand. There will be a minutes cap. Timing will be clunky for a game or 2. The cure is boring on purpose. You script a tight package you can live in on night 1. First call, get Boston a touch on the left block with a weak side lift. Simple read, no hero ball. Next trip, early drag with Mitchell spaced, read the tag, take the pocket pass, or spray to the corner. Against pressure, 1 designated reliever flashes middle, 1 safety behind the ball, and the hit ahead is automatic if the sideline traps. It's muscle memory, not a 40-page playbook. Now we have to address the part that's firing up the fan base, that 19-0 run at home against Dallas. 19-0 at home. That doesn't happen to a team with this much talent unless 3 things go wrong at once. First, live ball turnovers in the exact zones Dallas wanted, which turned into easy points and rhythm jumpers. Second, no kill switch timeout when the bleeding started. That reset is there for a reason. Huddle up, call something you can run in your sleep, and land the plane. Third, pressure without a reliable release, over-dribbling into traps instead of reversing the ball, flashing middle, or throwing the hit ahead before the second defender arrives. That's Organization 101. When those 3 failures stack, even average opponents look unbeatable for 5 minutes. This is why the community is split. One side says the injuries are legit, the whistle is rough, and there were stretches of good defense until the pressure cracked them. The other side says the roster, Mitchell, Boston, Natasha Howard, Hull, Cunningham, Bibby, Dantas has no business coughing up a 19-0 run on its own floor and hovering around .500. They're pointing at clock management, the unused reset timeout, and rotations that iced a hot hand. When Bibby is rolling and you go away from her, fans don't need spreadsheets to know that's how you lose 1-possession games. They feel it. So here's the real question. Does Caitlin's return fix the Fever's problems, or does it just cover them up? A superstar stabilizes you, no doubt, but she can't call a timeout from the bench. She can't sub herself or keep a hot shooter on the floor if the script says otherwise. The return timeline matters only if the habits change with it. Faster timeouts, cleaner press breaks, and a willingness to ride whoever's cooking regardless of the pregame substitution chart. Back to the dates. If you want rhythm and reps against similar looks, August 22 or August 24 against Minnesota is smart. 2 games in the same pocket, less scouting whiplash, easier to manage a minutes cap. If you want control and energy, August 26 at home is the show. Sub patterns are easier, communication is easier, the adrenaline is real. In all 3 cases, the week off practice window is the hinge that makes the math work. 3 to 5 legit practices is exactly what the staff has said Caitlin needs, and that timing still leaves enough games to impact the standings, chemistry, and closing packages before the regular season ends. Here's what I want to see in that practice week. If the timeline is real, first, live full speed 5-on-5 with the exact in-game set they're going to. Don't just draw it, rep it. Boston seals early. If she's fronted, high-low. If the low man pinches in, skip to the corner. Mitchell's lift is on time every time. Second, press break rules tattooed on the brain, who flashes, who is the outlet, and what triggers the instant hit ahead. Third, a closing script for 2 possession games that never changes. First touch to Boston, counter if they take it away, then Clark Mitchell 2-man with a built-in hammer screen if the defense sells out. It's 4 plays, not 40, and everyone knows the order. If they do that, Clark's return isn't just a headline, it's a pivot. It turns those 5-minute storms into passing showers. It turns empty trips into free throws and layups. It turns the crowd into a weapon again. And yes, it also gives the coach fewer places to hide. Because once the star is back, the spotlight moves to the bench. Do you hit the kill switch timeout? Do you keep the hot hand on the floor? Do you stop the live ball giveaways by calling actions that start with a pass, not a dribble? So, let's plant flags. I think the cleanest options are August 24 for rhythm or August 26 for the home burst. If I'm circling one, I'll circle the 26 for the noise and the control it gives a minutes capped return. But I want your pick in the comments, 22, 24, or 26, and tell me why. And second, tell me the one decision you think cost Indy that Wings game the most. The unused reset timeout, the rotation that iced a hot hand, or the lack of a simple press break plan when Dallas cranked up pressure. I'll shout out the sharpest takes in the next upload. Here's the bottom line. ESPN basically handed us the return window. It lines up with the schedule. It lines up with the practice requirement. It lines up with the final stretch that actually matters. But the Fever can't just wait for a save-the-day moment. They need habits that hold when the gym gets loud, pass before you pound the dribble, call the timeout before the avalanche, and ride the player who can't miss even if the substitution chart hates it. Do that, and Caitlin's return becomes the turning point everyone remembers. Don't, and it's just new paint over old cracks. If you're still here, you're a real one. Drop your return date, your biggest coaching fix, and whether you think the Fever are about to flip the script or repeat it. And if you want the raw possession-by-possession breakdown of that 19-0 run with the exact actions that should have been called, hit subscribe because that deep dive is coming next. Let's talk about Coach White. Fever fans didn't just lose a game, they lost it on Stephanie White after that 81-80 collapse to the Wings, and I'm about to break down exactly why in 3 minutes. Watch to the end and tell me the one decision you think cost Indy the win. Here's the moment everything flipped. A 19-0 run in your own building, 19 straight. That doesn't happen unless 3 failures stack at once. First, live ball turnovers right where Dallas wanted them, instant layups, rhythm threes, your crowd stunned. Second, the missing kill switch timeout. That's the 30 seconds that stops the bleeding. Huddle, breathe, call the set you can run in your sleep. It never came when the run was still small. Third, pressure with no release. Too much dribble, not enough reverse, no hard middle flash, no early hit ahead to space. That's organization 101, and it wasn't there. Post-game, White talked about defensive lapses, fouling, turnovers, injured point guards, and a rough whistle on Aaliyah Boston. Fans don't deny any of that, but here's what they heard. We were disorganized, okay, then burn the timeout. We over-dribbled, then forced the off-ball actions you say are the identity. Pin downs, flares, second side touches. Refs were bad. Maybe, but after a 19-0 home run, that can't be the headline. Guards are banged up. True, but that's when you simplified. Boston touch first, Kelsey Mitchell on the second side, weak side lift ready for a rhythm 3. That's why the comments went volcanic. Fans asked, why save a reset timeout and never use it? How do you bench a hot hand Chloe Bibby for a colder look when every possession matters? Why are we taking quick threes with no paint touch in 1 possession time? Where's the press break plan, inbound, reverse, flash middle, hit ahead when Dallas turns up the heat? These aren't trolls, these are diehards who know the playbook pages by heart. So, what do fans want now? 4 simple things. 1. A hard rule on momentum timeouts. If we stack 2 live ball turnovers or 3 empty trips in a row, we call it no ego. 2. A hot hand clause. If someone's cooking, the substitution chart loses seniority. 3. Press break assignments in Sharpie. Everyone knows who flashes, who's the safety, who runs the sideline. 4. A tight 2-possession closing script. First touch Boston left block. If fronted, high-low. If the low man pinches, skip. Next trip Mitchell second side with a built-in hammer for the corner 3. 4 plays, no guessing.